Hey, hey, hey,
What you doing, guys? This is Mrs. Klein.
and Mr. Creighton.
We're here today with your Lesson 16 podcast. It is the first lesson that we're going to cover in our new unit, covering information about West Africa. Lesson 16 is entitled Ghana, a West African trading empire. If you want to follow along, you guys, you can have your history books open to pages 222 and 223. As always, there is a guiding question for this lesson, and the guiding question today is: to what extent did trans-Saharan trade lead to Ghana's wealth and success? In addition to that, there are a few vocabulary terms. The first is Ghana, the second is matrilineal, and the third vocabulary term for this lesson is trans-Saharan trade. All right, you guys, we're going to head into the introduction now. The early West African societies of Ghana, Mali, and Songhai all created empires that gained much of their wealth from trade. As you explore Ghana, you will learn more about the role of trade in the first of West Africa's empires. The Kingdom of Ghana lasted from sometime before 500 CE until its final collapse in the 1200s. It arose in the semi-desert Sahel and eventually spread over the valley between the Senegal and the Niger rivers. The earliest writings about the Kingdom of Ghana came from Arab scholars. These scholars recorded information they had gathered from travelers to the kingdom. By the time they began writing about Ghana in the 9th century, it was already a flourishing empire. In this lesson, you will first learn about Ghana's government and military. Then you'll learn how Ghana's people acquired wealth by participating in trans-Saharan trade, as well as how this trade led to Ghana's wealth and success. And finally, you're going to discover how Ghana declined and a new empire, Mali, arose in West Africa. All right, you guys are moving into section 1, which is entitled Ghana's Government and Military. Arab scholars described Ghana as a fabled land of gold. Their accounts paint a picture of a rich kingdom with a strong government and a large, powerful army. Ghana was ruled by a powerful king. The king was the head of the army, made the final decisions in matters of justice, and led the people in religious worship. Ghana's king acquired great wealth through control of the gold trade. Gold was especially plentiful in the areas to the south of Ghana. To preserve his wealth, the king tightly controlled the supply of gold. All the gold nuggets or chunks found in the kingdom had to be given to the king. Ordinary people could only have gold dust. Each day, the king held court with his people. Once at court, the king conducted the business of his empire and heard the people's concerns. A large hierarchy of officials, some Muslim, helped the king govern. These officials were probably in charge of different parts of Ghana's society, such as the armed forces, industry, tax collection, and foreigners. When the king died, his son did not inherit the throne because the royal inheritance was matrilineal, which means that it was traced through women's bloodlines rather than men's. Therefore, in Ghana, the son of the king's sister was heir to the throne. Now, Ghana's military included a regular army, reserve forces, and elite soldiers. During wartime, the king called up additional reserve forces and the troops of other governors under his rule. Every man in the empire was required to complete military training so that he would be prepared to serve when called. All right, moving on to section 2, which is all about trade, the source of Ghana's wealth. Ghana was located between two areas that wanted to trade: North Africa and West Africa. Ghana's location enabled it to control this trans-Saharan trade. Traders traveling to and from the south had to pass through Ghana, paying heavy taxes on their goods each time. These taxes helped make Ghana rich. Archaeologists have found evidence that North Africans brought back gold from the southern forests of West Africa as long ago as 400 to 500 BCE. Travel across the Sahara, however, was especially challenging for these early people. Centuries later, two factors contributed to the growth of trans-Saharan trade. The first was the introduction of the camel to the Sahara, and the second was the spread of Islam. The introduction of camels allowed traders to establish caravan routes across the Sahara. Trade continued to expand because of the spread of Islam. Control of the trans-Saharan trade made Ghana wealthy and powerful. The traders who traveled to West Africa faced a long, difficult journey. In 1352, a Muslim historian and traveler named Ibn Battuta crossed the Sahara with a trade caravan. Battuta's account of his trip describes what the traders' journeys were like. Battuta and his caravan stayed in Siljamasa for a few months, waiting for the rainy season to end. When the watering places were full and there was grass for the animals to eat, the traders embarked on their journey and traveled from oasis to oasis. Walking across the Sahara was challenging and dangerous. Caravans sometimes lost their way, and some traders died in the desert. The entire journey, you guys, across the Sahara took about 2 months. Take it away, Mr. Creighton.
All right, guys, looking at section 3 in the textbook on page 228. Section 3 is the gold and salt trade. Although many items were traded between North Africa and West Africa, the two goods that were most in demand were gold and salt. The North Africans wanted gold, which came from the forest region south of Ghana. The people in the forests wanted salt, which came from the Sahara. Gold had been a source of wealth in much of the world. In an area known as Wangara, gold was plentiful. Wangara was located near the forests south of Ghana, but no one except the people of Wangara knew its exact location. The Wangarians kept the location of their gold mine secret. According to ancient stories, merchants occasionally captured a gold miner and tried to force him to reveal the location of Wangara. The miners would sacrifice their lives rather than reveal the secret. To West Africans, salt was more precious than gold. Salt is an important aspect of a person's diet because when people and animals perspire or sweat, they lose salt in their perspiration. People who reside in hot climates like West Africa perspire a lot and must replace the salt they lose. West Africans also needed salt to prevent their food from spoiling and to give to their cattle. Salt was produced in two ways in the Sahara. One method was through evaporation. Water was poured into the holes in the salty earth. The water slowly drew out the salt and then evaporated into the sun. The second way to acquire salt was through mining. At Taghaza, salt deposits were found about 3 feet below the surface of the earth. Traders paid taxes to Ghana on all the goods they carried throughout the empire. Goods were taxed both when traders entered and left Ghana. The taxes enriched Ghana's treasury and helped finance armies that protected the kingdom, which allowed the king to conquer other territories. All right, guys, looking at section 4 now, the exchange of goods. When trade caravans entered Ghana, they brought their goods to the great marketplace in the capital city of Kumbi. Kumbi had the busiest market in West Africa. Many local craftspeople sold their goods there. All goods, including slaves, were paid for with gold dust. Kumbi had one of the largest slave markets in West Africa. Many were brought to Kumbi by Arab merchants who took them across the Sahara and sold them. Traders conducted their business using a system of silent barter or trade. The caravans arrived bringing wool, silk, cotton, dates, figs, grains, leather, and salt. They distributed their goods along the river. The traders beat on a drum to announce that they were making an offer to trade, then walked several miles away from the location. When the Wangarians heard the drum, they traveled to the site by boat. They put some gold dust next to the goods, beat a drum, and left. Later, the traders returned. If the amount of gold dust was acceptable, they took it and left. If not, they retreated again and waited for the Wangarians to return and leave more gold dust. The groups bargained back and forth this way, without ever meeting in person. Alright guys, section 5, the decline of Ghana and the rise of Mali. Ghana's empire reached its height around the year 1000 CE. However, war and the loss of natural resources led to the West African Empire's downfall and the rise of a new power. In the second half of the 11th century, Muslim warriors known as Almoravids began attacking Ghana's empire. In 1076, they captured the capital city of Kumbai. The increasing population added great stress on scarce resources such as trees and water. Trees were cut down to provide charcoal for iron smelting furnaces. Water became so scarce that farmers could no longer cultivate crops and keep flocks. The end of Ghana's empire opened the way to the rise of a new power, Mali. Around 1240, a group of West Africans called the Mandi conquered Kumbi. The Mandi built an empire that reached from the Atlantic Ocean to beyond the Niger River, and from the southern forest to the salt and copper mines of the Sahara. All right, taking a look at the lesson summary now. Trade played a key role in the growth of the kingdoms and empires in West Africa. The first of these was Ghana. Ghana's military and government. Ghana was ideally located to control the trans-Sahara trade. It used the wealth from the trade to develop a strong army, which allowed it to conquer other peoples and build an empire. Trade, gold and salt. Ghana became wealthy by charging taxes on goods, especially gold and salt. Gold was mined in a secret location in forests south of Ghana and carried north to trade, while salt was produced in the Sahara and transported south. The exchange of goods. The Wangarians used a system of silent barter to trade goods. The decline of Ghana and rise of Mali. Years of war and the loss of natural resources led to Ghana's downfall in the 13th century. The next powerful West African empire, Mali, also built its wealth on trade. All right, just a reminder, guys, you have a few vocab words. So give me a second to turn to them. All right, so only 3 of them. You've got Ghana, matrilineal, and trans-Saharan trade. And you guys have the question: to what extent did trans-Saharan trade lead to Ghana's wealth and success?
Later, guys.
Stay tuned.